Well, Carlo and Marcella, this area was so overgrown with brush that was a good 7 to 8 feet tall that Paul couldn't see the hive until it was too late.
The first few bees, they looked like they were looking right in my eyes.
Paul Lorson only saw a few bees at first, then hundreds, all heading right for him.
But I had basically about 2 or 3 layers of bees on my hands, my arms, my face, my head, and my neck. And they were stinging me the whole time.
It happened last Monday afternoon. Paul volunteered to clear this area at San Marcos United Methodist Church so they could build a community garden. But his tractor's bucket hit a pipe, and it turns out there was a well-established hive inside it with a lot of guard and worker bees, and they had one goal: protect their turf.
I ended up having 13 stings from here around to here on this eye.
Paul started running to the front of the church, but his cell phone and car keys were still on the tractor, so he had no way to call for help or hide, and he was covered with bees.
I ran around the corner, and here was a kid, 12-year-old boy, sitting there minding his own business, and I'm yelling at him because I could see he had a cell phone to call 911.
Paramedics took him to the hospital, where they gave him an IV with a mix of medications to treat the swelling and massive amount of venom in his system.
The emergency room doctor described to my wife when she got there that when I first came in, I looked like a red balloon that was ready to pop.
He spent 9 hours in the emergency room before being released, but then returned the next day due to severe stomach pain. He ended up spending another 3 days in the hospital.
Sunday morning, there was one here. It finally came loose enough that we got it out.
Paul says he stopped counting after pulling out 120 stingers, but figures there are still more of them in his body. He's still tired and scared, but grateful to be alive. Doctors say if he was allergic to bee stings, he definitely would not have survived.
Given the circumstances, I think I'm doing pretty good.
Pretty good indeed. By the way, you can see behind me that Paul did get a pretty good start on the project out here. So I jokingly said, when are you going to come out here and finish? And he said, Steve, I actually do want to come out here as soon as I'm feeling better and finish the job so they can get that community garden. By the way, Marcella, this isn't even his church. He just heard they wanted to do this project, and being retired and a volunteer, he came out here to help.
Man, is he lucky. And just describing the stingers that he pulled out, more than 100 of them. We're so glad that he's not allergic and that he's doing okay. And you know, Steve, those bees seemed very aggressive. Do we know what kind of bees they were?
You know, we hear a lot about Africanized bees. Well, I talked to the owner of the company, the bee removal company that got rid of this hive, and he said, Steve, please don't say these were fully Africanized bees because we don't have those anymore here. That said, there are hybrids. So there is a small percentage of Africanized part in these bees, maybe 5% or so. So they're aggressive, but not deadly unless, you know, unfortunately you are allergic, especially when you get stung more than 100 times.
Wow, and again,